Let me ask you something. How many friends do you think you have? 10? 20? Maybe even more? But here is the truth most people discover too late. You don't truly know your friends when life is good. You only discover them when life becomes difficult. There was once a young man named Daniel. Daniel was the kind of person everyone liked. He was always surrounded by people. His phone never stopped ringing. Friends invited him to parties. Friends called him every weekend. Friends laughed with him late into the night. Wherever Daniel went, there were always people around him. If someone had asked Daniel how many friends he had, he probably would have smiled and said, "Too many to count." Life seemed good. Daniel had a decent job. He had a small apartment in the city. He was not rich, but he was comfortable. And because he was always generous, he often paid for dinners, drinks, and small favors for his friends. If someone needed help, Daniel was the first person they called, and he always showed up. If someone needed money for rent, Daniel helped. If someone needed a ride late at night, Daniel came. If someone was feeling sad, Daniel listened. He believed that friendship meant being there for people whenever they needed you. And because of that, many people seemed to love having him around. Weekends were always loud and exciting. Music played, laughter filled the room. People took pictures together and promised that their friendship would last forever. Many nights ended with someone raising a glass and saying, "To friendship." Daniel believed every word. He truly thought these people would always be part of his life. But life has a strange way of testing people. One year, everything changed. The company Daniel worked for suddenly closed. Without warning, without preparation, the doors shut down. Overnight, he lost his job. At first, he was not too worried. He had friends. He believed someone would help him find another opportunity. After all, he had helped so many of them before. So he called a few of them. But something strange happened. The first friend said he was too busy. The second said he would call back later. The third never answered the phone. Daniel didn't think much of it at first. Maybe everyone was just busy. Maybe they were having a stressful week. But days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Money became tight. Daniel started selling some of his things just to pay rent. First went his gaming console, then his expensive watch, then some furniture from his apartment. Each item he sold felt like a small piece of his old life disappearing. The dinners stopped. The parties stopped. The invitations stopped. The messages became fewer. And slowly, the friends stopped too. One evening, Daniel opened his phone and scrolled through his contacts. Hundreds of names. People he had laughed with. People he had helped. People who once called him brother. But when he looked carefully, there was no one he could truly call. That realization felt heavier than losing the job itself. It felt like discovering that the life he believed in was never real. All those people who used to laugh with him, all those people who used to say, "Brother, we will always be there for you," had quietly disappeared. Daniel began spending most of his evenings alone. Sometimes he walked through the city streets just to clear his mind. He would pass restaurants where people sat together laughing. He would see groups of friends talking loudly on the sidewalks. And each time, a quiet question appeared in his mind. Were those friendships real? Or were they simply moments that existed only while everything was easy? One cold night, while sitting alone on a park bench, he started thinking about everything that had happened. The laughter, the parties, the endless conversations. Where had all those people gone? Why had everyone disappeared so easily? That night, Daniel understood something that many people only learn much later in life. Some people are not your friends. They are simply passengers enjoying the ride while the road is smooth. But the moment the road becomes rough, they quietly step off. Just when Daniel thought he had lost everyone, something unexpected happened. One evening, while sitting alone again in the same park, someone approached him. It was Michael. Michael had once worked with Daniel years ago. They were never extremely close. They didn't party together, they didn't talk every day. They were simply two people who respected each other. But Michael sat down next to him and asked a simple question. "Are you okay?" For a moment, he didn't know what to say. Then he quietly told him everything. The lost job, the empty apartment, the disappearing friends. Michael listened without interrupting. There was no judgment in his eyes, no quick advice, just quiet understanding. When Daniel finished speaking, Michael simply said, "Come work with me tomorrow." Daniel looked at him in surprise. Michael had started a small business 2 years earlier. It wasn't huge, it wasn't glamorous, but it was growing slowly. And he needed someone he could trust. And in all the years he had known Daniel, he knew one thing for sure. Daniel was loyal. Daniel began working again. At first, the work was simple. Long hours, small pay. But something inside Daniel had already changed. He no longer chased crowds. He no longer tried to impress people. He focused on building something real. Months later, his situation became stable again. Life slowly improved, but Daniel was no longer the same person. He no longer chased crowds. He no longer tried to impress people. He no longer confused popularity with friendship, because now he understood something that few people truly understand. Real friends are not the ones who celebrate your success. Real friends are the ones who sit beside you when you have nothing left. Sometimes, life removes people from your life not to hurt you, but to show you who truly belongs there. And maybe the number of friends you have doesn't matter, because in the end, one loyal friend is worth more than 100 temporary ones. So take a moment and ask yourself something honestly. Who would still stand beside you if everything in your life suddenly disappeared? Because the people who remain during your hardest moments are the only ones who were truly there from the beginning. And if this story made you think even for a moment, tell me in the comments, have you ever discovered who your real friends are when life became difficult?